Hello, hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar organized by WeUni in partnership with ISD. My name is Carolina, nice to meet you all, and I'll be your host for today's event on behalf of WeUni. So I see here that the first people are already starting to join in. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes before starting to allow everyone to connect. In the meantime, feel free to say hi on our chat here on Zoom, and please tell us where you're from since we are very curious, of course. So, first of all, I would like to thank you for joining us and thank our panelists for being here with us today. As you can see here, I'm not alone. I would like to introduce you all to Jorge Gomez, Enterprise Account Executive at Stripe, and Daniel Huerta, former student and M&A investment analyst at Orbin Group. And we also have with us Sara Spagnolo, that is a representative for ISD, that will help us answering all the questions on the admission process. So welcome, it's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thanks. Let me briefly, I'm not representing Stripe today, so I'm actually I work for Stripe, but I'm a associate professor at ISD. So if you have anyone questions on Stripe, I'm happy to answer them on the side or with a virtual coffee. Okay, we're going to be talking about something different, not payments today.
Thank you for the clarification. Sure. Thank you so much. And so today you're going to explore how the job market is evolving fast and explore the roles that are shaping the future, the skills that top companies are actively seeking, and how you can stand out at the first rows of innovation and also real world impact. Actually, we know that 65% of the alumni of ISD are now working as executives, managers, or CEOs. So many companies like Deloitte, Iberia, and Design Factory are already count on talent trained at ISD. So you have also, of course, the possibility to interact with our speakers and ask them questions. So talking about that, I'd like to remind you that after the presentation, we will have a Q&A session here in which you'll be able to ask our questions to the panelists. So don't be shy and just type all of your questions in the Q&A section here, and we'll go through them at the end of the webinar. Also, for those of you interested in receiving a certificate of attendance by WeUni, stay tuned because we will post a link to get the certificate at the end of the session. I see some other people joining, someone from Romania, some other from Romania. So welcome to all of you. We are here with ISD today. And I think that without further ado, I can now leave the floor to Jorge for the presentation. So Jorge, the floor is yours. Thank you. Enjoy the webinar.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I'm gonna start. I still see sharing is not turned on, so please allow me to share my screen, and then
you should be able now.
Yeah, there's multiple presenters.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, awesome. And I'm gonna start with sharing my screen. Let me start with this. Well, while we get the rest of the, sometimes folks are slightly late. So while we get there and we are all gathered, I want to start looking at my screen. I'm sure you're all familiar with The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Johannes Vermeer. I'm gonna walk you through a lot of points that you've seen in the past before, or some things, but we're gonna take a different perspective. So I wanted to start with this example. By the way, speaking of interruptions, I only see the webinar chat on my left-hand side. So if you see me reading over here or typing, it's because I'm talking to somebody who has questions. Feel free to ask anything at any point while I'm talking. Okay, you are not interrupting. This is a conversation. So back to her. This museum where this picture, the oil painting, is displayed now, created a 108 billion pixel scan of this picture. What does it mean? That means we can zoom in very, very close. And while I was looking at this painting, I realized that they have something that is called the 3D model, which I have never seen this. I have seen a lot of artworks, but never seen anything like this before. So you can actually move it around And they have this very interesting feature where you can actually see how the painting is um, actually split on the painting, and I thought it was extremely interesting. Thank you, Carolina. I see your messages there. So probably that was a couple of minutes of your attention, because this session that we're gonna get started right now is where the jobs will be in 2025 on AI, data, and UX. And sorry for the translations. There we go. If anybody has issues with my accent, I'm Spanish, so anything that is not clearly understood, please let me know, and I'll try to rephrase it. So again, my name is Jorge. I'm presenting on behalf of ISTE. This is the picture we were looking at, the girl with the pearl earring. It's her 360th anniversary. So congratulations for the girl for the pearl earring. And we're actually doing a modernized version. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on what we can do today, where we are today, what is happening on the 2025 world for this girl with her pearl earring. Briefly on me, I have a computer science degree background. I studied here in Madrid, the Polytechnic University. I studied before ISTE was recognized, so I wish I had gone to ISTE, but I ended up doing my Global Executive MBA at IE and then an executive program at Harvard Business School. This is my 25th year since I finished college, so I've been 25 years work. Started 3 companies, one in the US to do telemedicine, one in the Emirates to transform natural gas into diesel, one back in Spain to use drones and artificial intelligence, artificial vision to inspect navigational aids in airports. And we received 17 innovation awards with those companies, and I've received twice the Teaching Excellence Awards. I've worked in the past also with for Telefonica and Vodafone doing military communications. I'm sure you're all aware of what is happening today in the world, especially in the Middle East, with a lot of attacks happening. So I work on that part of my early career, and now I spent 4 years at Microsoft, not Microsoft, AWS, Amazon Web Services, and now I'm the last 3 been with Stripe. So this is the focus of what we're doing. If you look at the expert predictions, and this is a study that appeared recently from Dell, I'm going to be sharing all the slides, okay? So you'll be having access to everything. 85% of the jobs that will exist 5 years from now haven't been invented yet. So we are in the middle of a massive transformation that is happening around us. And ISTE has these slides with this wave that resembles the Japanese wave. And this is exactly what is happening. We are seeing a tsunami happen in the world. And my thesis is that we're not just entering a digital future, we're living in it. And the demand for talent and AI, data, and UX is exploding. And I see it every day, and I'm sure you see it around you as well, every day, everywhere, every country, every different job is being remodeled with everything that is related to AI, data, UX. So I'm going to be focusing on the talk today on the intersection of what this means for the near future employment trends and how can we benefit from what is happening in the market and what is happening, how technology is evolving and how it is influencing what we're seeing. So the challenge is to understand where technology is heading. So I'm going to start with a small video to show where technology is literally heading. And then we'll use this as part of the discussion to understand what is happening with technology and how we are adapting to it. What we're going to be seeing, and let me give you a hint, a spoiler. If anybody has been to San Francisco, they have these cruise cars that are autonomous cars. And we're going to see a small video on what happened recently. So let me start here. The audio is there. If you don't hear it, let me know, but it's not really relevant. What I want you to focus is on the image, what is happening. So there's a person walking and you see a police car that is stopped. One of these Waymo, or in this case, it's a cruise, and there's nobody in the car. So the police officer gets close. It is an autonomous car. and the policeman tries to open the door. The car is obviously empty, and the car just starts and moves away. It actually stopped a few meters ahead because this was probably a better location for, let me, it was a better location to actually stop. In the other part, it was like in the middle, it was in an intersection, and now the police officers come again, trying to understand what is happening, why is this car with nobody in the middle of the street. And this is what I wanted to get, right? This is a very unique situation. I don't know if anyone lives in a city where they also have autonomous vehicles, but the technology is there. This is happening on in the streets in some places in Singapore, in China, in the US, and some other locations. And I'm sure the police officers in this case had never seen anything like this, right? Who's liable here? Is it something happened, like the car went too fast or it went across a red light? Who's liable? Is it the company? Is it Cruise? Is it the company who created all these litter radars there? Is it the company who created the algorithms? Is it the AI? Is it insurance? So there's this is a clear understanding that technology has moved to a point where we're not ready. We don't. This is way more advanced than anything police officers in this case had ever seen. So this is what we're going to be discussing within the context of the conversation. Sorry, this keeps. Okay, so I was thinking, okay, this is the most modern. We're going to be talking about the future. So I'm sure you all see in your streets electric cars, right? So this is like top notch, 2025. And then I was looking backwards, and electrification in 1912 was actually very similar. The reason why electric cars didn't take off has many different reasons. One is that the chemical industry was trying to impose the combustion cars over electric, and they created more gas stations faster and cheaper than electric companies could deploy their networks. Otherwise, we'll have 100% of cars electric today, right? So this is one of the reasons why I want to think, okay, what is happening, what is coming up, what are we using, and also what is the impact? What is what we are actually seeing? Something and that along those lines and shared mobility. This is a picture I took recently here in Madrid. So a few lines aligned. I'm sure you see this on your cities as well, sitting on the streets or people riding them. This is something very modern, very unique. And 1916, post office, this is in the United States, but they were using, I actually think these motorbikes look like a lot more stable, more reliable, and definitely sturdier than the models we see today. So this is also not very unique. The electric mobility has moved over 110 years in time, but we see how some of the waves of technology keep coming, and we also find new ways to adapt to it. But this is different, right? Metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg actually changed the name of the company from Facebook to Meta 3 years ago. And I don't know if you've ever seen Metaverse before. Probably not, right? Like this is something new. The company initially looked like they were moving all in with the metaverse, and actually they're doing a lot of investments, but also on AI, right? Because they decided to bet on different perspectives. As I'm a little older than you probably are, there was something called the metaverse in 2007. And this generated, obviously the graphics were not as good, but this was more crowded than the metaverse that we have today. So This was something called Second Life, and it was massive. It became very popular and then faded away and it disappeared. So again, we see a cycle of things coming up and then disappearing, but they're coming up again. Why this matters? Well, 2025 is a pivotal year, and there's a clear sign of current acceleration of Gen AI tools. And I'm sure we've seen ChatGPT or Claude, Midjourney, Sora. We're going to stop a little bit to take a look at Sora, what is happening with OpenAI's image video generation. The remote and hybrid work and automation. This has seen a massive uproar since the COVID pandemic, where we all were locked at home and we started working remotely. Today, the fact that we're doing a remote session 10 years ago was not that easy. People will typically go to ESD in class, attend in class, do everything in class. And now it's very common that we have, I don't know how many meetings I had today, but I work from home all day long. So this is happening, and we're seeing an acceleration on hybrid work or remote, full remote, and also on automation. And then there's the digital and product design and customer experience that is also exploding because all these new technologies we're seeing, the VR goggles, the augmented reality systems, the data visualization, like the example I showed before, being able to pinpoint on microns on a painting that you've seen a million times perhaps, right? And rotate it and extract data from the environment and use it to make decisions, because ultimately that is why we're doing all these things, right? To help humans make better decisions. This is a little long, the text, but I wanted to focus on what is relevant, right? Because it's a little background on how we ended up doing what we're doing. So 2020, the year of COVID, with the pandemic, everything moved online on Zoom and Teams, Slack, WeChat, or in Europe, the WhatsApp alternatives, where we started communicating massively. And then 2021, the expansion of AI and integration of AI in business with some chatbots and predictive analysis, smart decision based on AI gaining traction. Massive rollout on 5G and boom on e-commerce. The boom started earlier in 2020 when we were locked, but 2021 peaked and started some personalized recommendations on inventory systems powered by AI. 2022, scaling innovation. So we see a lot more AI in the creative sectors. Blockchain and crypto start surging with the decentralized finance and NFT adoptions. I'm sure you guys remember the apes collections that got off the charts and now then disappeared. And then the smart infrastructure, cities, large cities deployment IoT for energy, transportation, safety optimizations. And then 2023 moved massively into mainstream and advanced applications. I don't know exactly when you started using ChatGPT, but it was probably 2022, 2023, right? And then the use of autonomous systems that progress with driven vehicles and drones and some robotics. I don't know if you've seen the Amazon warehouses. Everything is fully robotics. There's almost no one, very few people. Then advances in natural language processing with huge leaps in translation. I don't know if you've seen the latest with real-time translation into your language in natural voice with my voice. So I would be speaking your native language as you hear this session. With chat, with sentiment tools, with full analysis, full range of based on your behavior, how you respond, how you react, and that is crowdsourced from different sources. And then the augmented reality or virtual reality adoption used mainly in training, healthcare, and immersive customer experiences. And I think this is why Meta decided to adopt in 2022 the Meta metaverse approach. That will keep growing. So 2024, we closer. Gen AI goes fully mainstream. The tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Sora, Midjourney. Now, I'm sure you use daily or weekly at least AI tools for almost everything, from writing, responding emails to creating your Instagram images or, I don't know, writing your friends, helping you think and create and work faster. AI has been included in workflows. Microsoft acquired part of OpenAI to embed Copilot. Google, Microsoft, Notion, Figma, a lot of companies, large companies are reshaping their strategies to go into full AI or large AI implementations. And then the part of governance of AI, how this is extremely relevant. In Europe, we have the AI Act. There's global regulation initiatives gaining momentum and helping us shift from pre-AI to a world where AI is everywhere. And then the personalized learning with AI-powered platforms and the human AI co-design, where designers increasingly partner with AI for ideation, prototyping, and final creation, right? We're going to start seeing full movies created with AI, full songs created with AI, where the human brain uses touches of additional knowledge, but we'll say full books created with AI, right? So we'll have to start differentiating what is IP, right? The intellectual property, who is the owner, and who do you pay royalties to? So all this is changing, and it's changing very rapidly. And this year, the year of convergence that I call the AI, data, and UX merge. And this is no longer in silos. We are seeing the definition of the modern product in teams and working together. We start seeing new job titles. We'll go a little deeper into prompt engineers, UX designers, AI product leads that are high demand. And then we're seeing a lot of new disruptive companies, AI natives with new ventures being born on AI. Most funding going to these companies, conversational UX. Anything that has to do with AI that started at least 3-4 years ago today is major success. And then this also changes how the ethics by design is implemented, because we need more transparency, fairness, and explainability to understand how these models were created. I remember one example with the former model by Google that was created using mainly white people to create characters. So when they were recreating people, black people, right? Uh, they were not accurate because they didn't have enough models. So the noses will not be right, the eye colors would not be right, the hair will be wrong. And there's still a lot of things that are developing, but we need to make sure that the fairness is implemented with the models. Then the lifelong learning becoming a new more norm, where either micro certifications or hybrid skills are driving careers. And I see it all the time at work at Stripe. We're hiring a lot of people, and this is becoming more and more critical. So I wanted to stop for a second. I don't know if you're familiar with Sora, but I wanted to go briefly and take a look at what they have today. This was a few days ago when I was created the presentation. This all you see here is fully AI created. This was a fun video of a dog falling from the sky. No, not dog. Sorry, a small piglet. So let's see what they have today. Let me launch it. Um, why is this relevant, right? Because in the past, if you wanted to create I don't know, a parrot, you had to be very good at Photoshop, or you had to have a camera. If you wanted to have a picture with an old lady, and you actually need to find a UFO to be able to do this. This is extremely hard. These images, it is hard to tell if these are real photos or not. I would not be able, if I saw them a catalog of futuristic tech, that they're good enough to say, yeah, these are models. These two girls, they don't exist. This is all AI generated. Obviously, this is a dune monster or whatever it is. Let me see what it is. Giant desert worm. Okay, so obviously they don't exist. Let me see if I can find a video. Great spaghetti with ice. If you're hungry. This video is not very realistic. Let me see this video. A hummingbird with an orchid dancing. This was literally impossible to have 3 years ago, or obviously 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And now with a prompt that is a one-liner, you have 10 seconds of video with a hummingbird beautifully rendered in an arcade. And you can probably change the colors, change the arcade. Actually, I don't think hummingbirds are interested in orchids now that I think of it. So let's see what else is happening. So Sora is an example, but there's million. I wanted to go. I saw before something with another example of video. Any video you see here, this one starts with an image. So they created an image, and then they animated the image. So this is the result we're seeing here. Typically, the fingers give away, in this case, the elbow, and I think that I see 6 fingers. So this is a way to see the image is not 6 or 7 fingers on the left hand. So there's still ways to understand if the image is real or not. But overall, for instance, with cars, unless you're super expert on these roads, and this car is obviously drifting, it's a Lamborghini drifting, probably a little too much, but it is becoming almost impossible to tell what is generated and what is real. So let's go back to the presentation and why this is important, because this is changing how we relate. And now I'm going to go specifically on the job landscape overview by domain. We're going to talk about AI, machine learning, data science, analytics, and UX and human-centered design. Okay, so let's start with the first, the AI and machine learning. These are the roles that are emerging. You see people being hired to be a machine learning engineer for $300,000 to $500,000 a year. This is happening. I have friends who are occupying this position now. Prompt engineer. Prompt engineers, by the way, I think will skyrocket and then disappear because AIs will be the prompt engineers instead of having prompt engineers prompting into the AIs. AI product manager, AI ethics specialist. All these professions didn't exist 3 years ago and now are on high demand on a lot of different places. The key skills or the trends are using Python, TensorFlow, PyTorch, understand about AI safety, explainability, fairness, as I commented before. Doing low code or no code AI integration. No code basically is that you tell the system what you want to have and the system creates it for you and then you can tweak it. So without any programming knowledge, you can start building your applications. You can start, automating your house without writing a single line of code. And when I say automating your house, I'm could be automating your workflows at work or your learning experience or preparing trips, buying tickets to the opera. Anything can be automated and integrated through AI. And I see some tech giants like Google, OpenAI, and Amazon, but also a lot of healthcare firms, finance, manufacturing, and of course, tons of startups. If you look on some of the LinkedIn's or any tools you use to look for jobs, you'll see machine learning engineers in high demand, and on the other prompt engineers, say our product manager, ethics specialists, growing more and more. Data science analytics. These are some of the high demand roles from specific data scientists. And now there are careers. I don't know if you're in your countries, but in Spain, we have a full-on studies, 100% focus on data science, data analysis, business intelligence, data engineering, and data governance specialists. You don't need to do a full 4 years, but there's specific courses where you understand what is data science, what is analytics, why is this relevant, how does it connect with the tools you're using, with AI and others. Some of the tools you'll need are SQL, Python, Power BI, or Tableau, and dbt, Snowflake, Airflow. Perhaps you have not heard of this, but just for the people who are familiar with this, start looking into that a little deeper. Some emerging areas, real-time data operations. AI-powered analytics and data privacy and compliance for GDPR or AI Act that is going to be enforced across Europe very soon. How am I doing on time? Yeah. So human-centered design. Um, Human-centered design is something that IDEO created. Basically, it is the intersection of desirability, feasibility, and viability. Some of the roles are UX and UI designer. This is growing like crazy. I cannot think of a single company not thinking of how to use the human-centered design for AI UX. This is happening everywhere. Design researchers or UX writers, obviously using AI to help the writing part. And then conversational interface designer. If you're sitting in front of your computer and like me, you have a keyboard, if you look at the keyboard, mine says QWERTY, YOP, ASDF, This is something we've been using for almost 50 years, and it's going to be, I don't want to say abandoned fully, but we're going to see a massive growth of interactions with voice and images because this is how humans think. We don't think in terms of keywords. We think in terms of words, of images, of ideas that we exchange, right? So this is going to grow immensely. And having humans in the center, we will not be thinking, oh, this is a machine and I need to create the data so the machine understands it. This is a message and send it to another human because I want to communicate my ideas. And I need a system that is reliable and it helps me do that. And then some of the trends are going from design of AI-driven experiences to the voice and multimodal interfaces. Multimodal is you move from text to video, from music to text, from voice to video, from video to text. So that is multimodal. Going back to the ethical and inclusive designs, the example I provided earlier where they only had models of white people and then they were trying to recreate Asian races or black races and images and the models didn't work. And the UX plus data collaboration. So at the end, it is how do we combine the data science, the AI, and the human-centered design all in one so it's easy to use all these technologies that we're putting together and we're gathering and facilitate humans to use it, because at the end, that is what matters. And that creates a massive opportunity for cross-sector applications. For instance, on healthcare with the AI triage tools that use imaging and voice to make sure you understand the patient faster and understand what is happening, or some data interfaces that the patients can wear or can, it is not going to be just the eyes of a person who is at the hospital for hours and hours attending patients. We're going to have triage tools that automatically through AI are able to determine where the patient needs to go next. On retail, on personalized shopping, with UX driven by real-time data, you're going to be able to go to, I don't know, Stara by Inditex and are going to say, hey, I want to buy a new red dress. And the system will know that you already have 5 dresses at home, or you want to specify, hey, I already have a long dress, a short dress. One is black, the other one is blue. I wanted this style. And the system will present you with the model you want or need and personalize it for you and change it on the fly if needed and perhaps build it specifically for you. On education, we're seeing adaptive learning platforms powered by AI to learn anything from data analytics to languages to people learning to write and read. And this is happening as we speak. Or in the public sector, again, I'm sorry to go over and over and over, but the major concern that the scientists and the experts have is how are we going to start relating with AIs and provide services where it is, I don't want to say hard, but it is a different path that we are using now. And this goes on and on from logistics to manufacturing, gas and oil industry, hospitality, finance, everything is being revolutionized by these job opportunities. So if you want to learn and get into these jobs or pivot into these roles, these are my recommendations. Learning continuously with courses, boot camps, and certifications. Obviously, ISTE is an amazing source. There's also other parts that you can start learning with Coursera, IDX, Design Institute. If you can start building a portfolio of what you are creating, from home automation to things you do at work to side projects you create, and either if it's GitHub or Dribble, Notion, anything you can share when you're talking to people, say, hey, I created this home automation when I say I'm home, and then the music starts playing. Something that where you show that you understand technology and you are able to absorb the knowledge and move it into a different discipline. Because at the end, this is what AI is enabling, right? The AI plus UX, the data plus a product to collaborate across disciplines. And then I have some of the thought leaders that I follow. I recommend Lex Freeman or these other two people. But find something you like or you enjoy, and start following them to understand what is happening. Gonna end with some last idea, which is that the 2025 is not a winter to wait for. Actually, we're mid-June, so it is a moment to shape. And I wanted to end with this quote: "The world that is shaped by algorithms, design, and data, the most valuable skill for humans might be learning how to learn." So I encourage you to keep learning, keep progressing, and we're going to say goodbye to our friend, the girl with the pearl earring. I'm going to show you a set you've never seen of her before, and it is the other side. Obviously, this was created by AI. So we're going to close with whoops, sorry, I moved too fast. We're going to open for questions with my colleagues Sarah and Danielle, who are on the panel. Let me open the microphone for them and listen to any questions. Or I'm going to go through some of the questions unless Sarah or Danielle want to intervene. I'm going to. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, hello.
Sure. Hi.
If you want, I can read the questions for you, or you can even manage the Q&A session by yourself. I see that we have some questions from the students, so
yes, I'll go in order if that is okay.
Perfect. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So Federico, thank you for your question. Which of these technological shifts do you think will have the biggest impact on the job market over the next 5 years? That is a great question. If I knew, I would be very rich right now. But in general, in my experience, and I've been teaching AI for over 10 years, anything that is AI related is a game changer. And I've been telling all my students since 2015, if you could only learn one skill in the next 20 years, focus on AI. So I will stick to it. Even the rest of everything I commented is massive, and it has a great future ahead. The technological shift we're seeing, and this is not my opinion. This is what experts say. Okay, the technological shift I think it was I'm not sure if it was the former CEO of Google or the former CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the founder, that said, what is happening with AI is what happened with the electric light. So we're moving from this is a total different paradigm. This is a shift that is massive. This is moving from before the internet to the internet. This is having no electricity to having electricity. This is having no AI to having AI. This is massive. Carolina, I think you wanted to add a point, something here.
No, it was just to select the question and then
Okay.
proceed to the next one.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Something anonymous attendee. How can young professionals or students best prepare for roles involving AI, blockchain, or smart infrastructure? I think I covered this in my explanation. So this question was asked before. So if that is unanswered, let's go back to it. You touch a point that I bypassed on purpose, which is the blockchain. And I, I bypassed it because there's a massive connection in people's minds between blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And cryptocurrencies are not the best example of what the blockchain can provide. I'm a firm believer on the blockchain, but for things that are not currency related. I think blockchain will change how we buy medicines in the future, how we buy auto parts in the future, how we exchange goods like homes. I think that notaries are a thing that will extinguish very rapidly with blockchain. Okay, so how do you prepare? Well, start studying, and as I said, prepare, uh, put together everything that you acquire knowledge and have like a something you can show when you're interviewing or you're talking to new companies. Okay, let me move to the next one. How
Can
important
I can
is,
I add something here, Jorge?
of course, yes,
Yes,
please.
because I think, well, I'm a young professional and I am actually preparing myself to know a little bit more about AI, blockchain, all of this. I just finished my master's with ISD actually. And here you have all the information at one click. You can access all the information. You have like your personal professor, which is ChatGPT, and you can ask ChatGPT whatever, and you have all the information. So it's a matter of curiosity. From my point of view, you need to be curious and
Sorry.
you need to really put in the effort, because if you don't put in the effort right now, then the market is gonna eat you alive. The market's not gonna wait for you.
Mhm.
And I realized that pretty fast. I got an internship in Loewe, which is a
Mhm.
luxury fashion brand, and we started some projects about, well, with AI, with blockchain. We actually finished the project that related with blockchain, and the products have are related with blockchain, so the falsifications are not that a big problem. And now I'm in Orvin, and we are developing an AI tool for business valuation, which is going to completely change the finance industry and the way M&A and business valuation is done. So it's just a matter of being curious and really putting the effort, because no one is going to put it for you.
That was a great answer, and let me compliment it. That one of the reasons why, while you were talking, I came back to Sora, which is OpenAI's image creator, is because there's a caveat there, and it is the fact that um, AIs, what we have today on AIs is not reasoning AIs. What we're seeing here on a text part, the counterpart, the chatbots, are structures that resemble reality but are not. And we need to be very careful. And when I say be very careful, let me show you something that was creating for my daughter. She is going on an expedition trip to Colombia. So I was trying to create a map to go. This was the first attempt. I wanted to have an old map, like the ones that appear on Indiana Jones, and have a plane going from Spain to Colombia. So here, the shape of Spain and the shape of Colombia work flawlessly. This is great. But then I wanted to have a path from Spain to Colombia, which is located here, north of South America. And I tried multiple times, and if you see my attempts, I was able to create great planes. Uh, the paths were fantastic. Some of the maps were really cool, but I was completely unable to create the map that I wanted. This was the closest where at least it was looking from looking towards the west, but the red I was not able, and I tried a lot of times, like you can see here. So my advice is yes, use technology. Yes, use ChatGPT or any similar tools, but be very careful with the results, because sometimes, especially now, what we have today are the smartphones of 1991, okay, or 1998. I don't care. They're very early phones, so they work, but they are not like the phones we have today, where you have five cameras and a lot of multi-processing capabilities. The AI days are still in a very primitive stage. use them with care, understanding that whatever they say might not be 100% accurate. But great example, and I love to see that Loewe and other companies are using AI to detect fraud or using um, similar systems with the blockchain. So this question here, how can someone with a non-technical background transition into roles related to AI or digital innovation? Well, I have seen people moving very fast because at the end of the day, if you want to be an engineer specializing in programming AI, obviously having a technical background gives you an edge. But to use AI, to use digital innovation, you need to brain. You don't need to have a tech background. And I've seen people with gardening backgrounds be hired for AI AI techs. That was the most densely far away. This girl was from Brazil, and she had a major in park design, and ended up working for a very well-known AI tech company. What you need to understand is where technology is going, something similar to the example I showed with the car, and then determine how you get there in advance. And I showed some examples, understanding how technology works. You don't need to have a PhD in physics to understand some of the things, and go deeper and try to understand as much as possible, watch a lot of videos, read a lot of news, and perhaps join an institution like ISD to have a better understanding of what is happening. At the end of the day, companies today, I see more and more, especially in my experience with Microsoft and Google, that big tech companies, they are no longer focusing on what you did in the past, but what your capabilities are and how you can progress in the future, and how easy it is for you to understand, oh, okay, with the blockchain or with an NLP that someone mentioned there, how can I create a business unit inside this large company? Or how can I create my own company? And for instance, when I started using drones with artificial vision, artificial intelligence, I had no idea whatsoever on the airspace industry. I had never worked in an airport. I had never flown a drone before. And then I created a company that was invested by the European Space Agency and some venture capital firms from across Europe. How? I had no idea whatsoever. I didn't have a background on airspace, but I knew how technology worked. And I knew I had found a problem that the airlines had and the airports had, which was when they needed to inspect their airports, they had to bring a plane typically from far away. And if they had a drone in the airport, they could do it right away. So it is about combining your intuition and understanding. Obviously, I spent a lot of time researching, talking to experts, and putting things together, but it is something you can do. And that was a very smart question.
And
Let me move
can I just
to, sure.
yes, one thing. In From my experience, in every project that I've been that's tech related, there is always two parts, two sides of it. There's like the business part and the technological or pure tech part. And from the business part, you really need to understand what the technology can do and what you really want to accomplish with that project. And that's what you're gonna tell the technological team, and they're gonna develop it. So that's why you don't really need to be involved in all these blockchain or AI projects. You don't really need to know how to code, it's good if you have a little bit of knowledge, but it's not critical. You just need to understand what that technology can do for you, for your business, and then you need to be really good at translating that to the technological team.
Yeah, that is very important. And it also links to one of the questions we have here. Let me start with the first that I bypassed by mistake. Sorry. How important it is understanding technologies like blockchain or NLP for someone going into digital marketing or business strategy. It depends on what you want to do, right? In general, I suggest understanding what is happening around you helps you provide more focus on what you're doing, even if you're not using it. Sometimes it is not about what technologies you use, but what technologies you do not use. And I've seen a lot of examples, and I'm sure you've also seen this, for instance, the massive amount of companies that have their databases as a Excel file. And I'm talking about very large enterprises. Probably this has changed over time, right? But I've seen CRMs fully created on Excel, databases of customers fully created on Excel. Excel, which is a spreadsheet and has some database capabilities, you should understand if you want to create a database, use a database. There are really good databases provided with the Office, um, um, whatever it's called, the Office 365, and there's a database there. It is not Excel. And Excel is for something different. So understanding what natural language processing is and how it works, understanding what the blockchain does and how can you use it, it is critical. Perhaps not to use it, but to decide this is not what I need. I'm going to use something else that is more appropriate, more focused. So yes, definitely start understanding what else is happening. If you're interested, there's the Gartner Hype Cycle that highlights a lot of different technologies that are emerging every year. Some of them grow exponentially and keep growing, and some others die. But they're all interesting. So start using those as starting points to familiarize yourself with what is happening in technology. I'll answer two more and then I'll pass it on because I think I'm over time. So Andre was asking what a good portfolio of someone who's looking for a job in AI, ML, and so should look like. He was struggling to find a job, even writer, computer science, computer engineering, wondering what kind of products are well seen. Second, what skills should be the focus of the current students that are in their bachelor's degree? Okay, let me start with the first one, which is what is well seen. It is not exactly about what you have done in the past, but also, and I link this to the previous answer by Danielle, it is what you can do in the future. So perhaps if you're applying for a computer science specific job to do Python programming, it is very obvious that if you showed, oh, I did 3 Python programming programs in the past, and this is what they do, that would be very well regarded. But if you have never used Python and you have used a different language, use it. If you have never done anything in that regard and you are very good at, I don't know, something that's totally not related, cooking, okay? Tell them how to use ingredients when you're cooking and how you combine those ingredients to create new dishes, new plates, something different, or you're able to recreate recipes to a very high degree, because that explains how you could combine your current knowledge, what you have experienced in the past, and or even if you don't have any experience, like this girl I was referring to who had a background in forestry and garden design, but she was able to explain this large tech company that she was able to put together smart content with whatever new knowledge she was acquiring within the company. So that is my suggestion to you. Try to link what you have learned in the past to what could come in the future. And that links very directly and also to Daniel's comment on the focus. And I always say, and this links directly to the first slide I was showing, 85% of jobs 5 years from now are going to be new. So it doesn't matter what your focus is today, because the skills that you will require in your job position 5 years from now are not even created. It's not even in there. Let me give you an example. The company I work for, Stripe, was created 13 years ago. 14 years ago. I'm not sure exactly about the date. So that means 13 years ago, my job didn't exist. My position didn't exist. And the customers that are acquiring our products didn't have a need for these products because otherwise someone in the market will be doing this. This company moved from 2 founders to over 8,000 people, and from being worth 0 to being worth $95 billion in a decade and a half. So do not focus on what's doing, whatever you're doing today, smash it. Learn everything that but it doesn't really matter because 5 years from now, we're going to be in a totally different environment, and AIs are going to be there a lot more and with better technology, and everything is going to be different. So focus on learning and focus on using whatever you learn, because it doesn't matter. 5 years from now, it will not be relevant what you learned today. It is your capacity, your capability to keep acquiring knowledge and to keep applying it to whatever you're doing. And then last of the questions we have for today, that was a good 20 minutes of Q&A. Andre, also, can you give us some good AI product ideas? Well, this obviously depends on your interest, but one of the things that has a great future is using that. This is a little specialized, okay? But there's an opportunity to trade molecules. It could be molecules that we create with AI, or it could be molecules. Instead of trading gas and oil in full, I think companies might be interested in trading, I don't know, methane, specific molecules of methane, because they will combine it with something different. And I've been talking to some traders and some gas and oil companies, and they all say this is something new and relevant, and it doesn't exist. So perhaps you can ask your AI chatbot, how can I build a company with molecule trading? And if you find it interesting, contact me, and maybe we can work together on putting that project out there. Yep. So I think we covered all the questions. If any additional questions are coming my way, or Danielle's, happy to answer, or Sarah's. Sarah is the admission manager for ISD. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free. Otherwise, I'll stop sharing the screen and pass it on back to Carolina.
Thank you.
Sure, with pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much. Also for the presentation, it was really interesting, and for all the answer to the many questions that we have. So many curiosities from the students. I would like to remind you that in the next few days, you will receive an email from us with the recording of this webinar. So if you have missed anything, you can watch it and take all the information that you may need. And of course, you will also receive some contacts from ISD. So if you have any other questions, any doubts also about the admission process, all the things that you need to send to ISD to apply to the university, feel free to contact them. And of course, it will be available to give you answers. So thank you so much for being with us today. Of course, I hope to see you again in the next webinar organized by WeUni. So I'd like to remind you that if you want to receive the certificate of attendance for today's webinar, you can click on the link that I'm sending in the chat right now and request it. So thank you again for being with us today, and thank to Jorge, to Danielle, and to Sarah for the availability and for the kindness. So have a nice day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.